is going to actually focus on that. I know we talked about some of the different levels of diets, and we didn't really touch on puree as much in the last session because we're actually going to have a live cooking demo of some really fun, cool puree items. So I would like to introduce our speakers before we get started. You guys will get to see Heather. I don't think Heather needs another introduction. She was one of our panel members from before, but she was really instrumental in helping create the puree program that we're going to spend some time looking at this afternoon. Joining her is Chef Michael. Michael, I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. I know it. Gauthier? Okay, I got it. And Michael has been working in food service for 34 years. Brings a lot of different knowledge and experience. In his time in food service, he really found a passion in senior living, really putting together programs, offering resident choice, and really looking at it from a dignity standpoint and looking how he can really improve the quality of life of the residents. So Heather and Chef Michael make a really great team. So please welcome them as they come up and do a puree demonstration for us.
So as we're getting ready, we're going to have a slideshow that's going to be going on behind you that kind of is going to show you an overview of the program, and then we'll go through it together, show you the detailed part of it. We just kind of want to make sure that you get to see everything. So that's kind of going on now while we introduce ourselves.
Watch the screen. Don't watch me. You can go ahead. Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much. I just really want to take an opportunity to express how sincerely humbled and honored Heather and I are to be here with you today, the best of the best in the healthcare dining industry. Yeah, it's really cool. Thank you all so much for having me today, and let's have some fun. All right. So I have 5 main rules in my kitchens. Number 1, would you serve this to your mom? If I'm not going to serve it to my mom, I'm not going to serve it to anyone. And believe me, there have been days where everybody got peanut butter and jelly. Okay. Number 2 is very important. We eat with our eyes. If it looks bad, it tastes bad. Okay? Number 3, if you eat good, you feel good. If you feel good, you go home. Number 4, also very, very important. It's called health care for a reason. Number 5, the secret to success is to own it, like you just invested your last penny. Fortunately, here I am today again. Thank you. This program is designed to return the dignity and change the quality of life for all of our residents and all of our patients. Together, we can do this. What I'm about to show you, anybody can do this. So again, let's have some fun. So seriously, think about it. You're sitting at the table with 3 of your friends. You're all eating a fairly nice meal. All of a sudden, your plate's served, lift the lid. And hopefully your friends are polite enough that they don't say it, but you know they're thinking it. What is it? It breaks my heart that every day people are saying, I don't know. This needs to change. I experienced this myself as I lost my grandfather to Alzheimer's. And I'll tell you, 11 years ago, it was tough. A year later, not even realizing, I applied for a job as a director of dining services for a small assisted living facility in Quincy, Mass. About 2 weeks later, I realized, wow, I can make a difference. And 10 years later, here I am. So again, thank you. I hope you enjoy our presentation.
So we want to have our volunteers come up.
Come on up, guys. Let's have some fun.
So we're asking people from the audience to come and help us to show how easy it is. So that's kind of the process is here. And Michael's going to have each one of them.
So we're going to do a little challenge. So, have you ever worked in the kitchen?
Yes.
Have you ever decorated a cake?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to have you
Do the pipe.
pipe out some green beans. I'll show you the first one, and then just have it. Have fun. You like puzzles?
Sure.
Fantastic. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you pick out some already frozen molded puree items. And you're going to set them up on these 4 plates using. They're already set together.
Okay.
Made it easy on everybody.
Okay.
So, all right. So. Fantastic. Okay. So now there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. Okay. My facility, what we do is we mold, freeze, and then look at the menu of the day, and we just go in the freezer and pull it out, much like she is doing right now. However, how do we get there? You don't always have to have molds. There's all kinds of options. So I'm going to start with this basic piping. Now you could just do straightforward green beans like that. However, when you don't have a lot of space, you can create height. Not too bad for just quick. This might be a little bit. You okay? Comfortable with it?
Yeah.
I need some gloves.
Sure is.
Okay. Okay, so you have your turkey, your roast beef, your beef stew, your fish. Roast beef and the beef stew. We're going to get the beef gravy.
Good job.
All right, have at it. Have fun, ladies. Thank you so much for your help.
Michael's going to start the puree process because we're doing peas, which we know is a difficult, one of the most difficult vegetables to do. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to show you how to do the peas. So he's going to start that as they're working on their plates here. But the point is that it's simple and that anybody can do it. And in Michael's kitchen, he has taught everybody, the diet aides, they all know how to do the puree. They know how to, someone asks for a meal, they know how to put it together and present it. So it's not just the chefs that are doing it. And the program is really a great, innovative way because what you do is when you have green beans on the menu, you just put another pot of green beans on, or you add, steam up some extra green beans, and then you go ahead and fold out some of the green beans and you throw it in the freezer, and then you have those and you keep them, and so that when someone actually has it on the menu, you're just picking them out and serving it. So during the actual meal service, you're not really pureeing anything up. The only thing that you'll be pureeing is usually the starches because they're gummy and you want to do them really at the point of service. But even some, we'll show you some starches that we have done that are frozen. You see in the beef stew, there's potato chunks that have been frozen, molded, and then wheat flour. So that's kind of the whole process here. So Linda, how do you feel about that?
Very easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the best thing that it's at room temperature is a good temperature to do it. If it gets too cold, it's kind of harder to. But right, you'll get better at it. Right. Yes, you can put parchment paper on it, and then it's easy. Flips up. The other thing is spraying with like a hand spray so that it doesn't stick. So that those are the tricks that you use. No, that's fine. So that's good. You want to do one more, and then this kind of looks like an asparagus. Make it look like. Oh yes, and we do the mixed vegetables. Yes, I know. Not brown mixed vegetables, right? And then these are the plates. You can start seeing this is plating up. These are frozen molds for cauliflower. Mixed vegetables we were talking about, they're really just strips and then cut into little squares, fish, and you just put the sauce on that you need to. That's
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll let you finish up. When you're done, you can just sit down when you feel like you're done. So we're going to come over to where Michael is pureeing up the peas. First of all, you want to ensure that you drain the product really well, and with the peas, you kind of overcook a little bit so they're soft.
Anything somewhat fibrous, and do not do asparagus. Not worth it. It ends up being like $10 a pound by the time you're done. Not worth it. Bacon, do green beans, even take the broth from asparagus.
Yeah, that's one of the good things about the DSI too, is that when if it doesn't match or doesn't make the qualifications, then you can make the decision not to utilize it. So this is just in general, but you would make sure that you used a drained product. You'll just puree it up so you can get to as smooth as possible. And Michael is going counterclockwise.
All blades go counterclockwise.
Either that, or you're going to end up getting rubber tips into your
Before and
puree
after.
product, and you're not going to have very good rubber spatulas left either.
Right.
So with the peas, unfortunately, it doesn't meet the. It's fine. It doesn't meet the qualifications because of the hull. So what we are going to do is continue to puree it a little bit more. I don't know if it's totally done.
Always scrape once. New tools are always sticky.
Yeah, we noticed that the new tools they're not broken in yet. And so what we use is just a double mesh strainer here. It's a very simple piece of equipment that you can purchase. And you're just getting out all the particles that you can't make into the fine, smooth product. It doesn't take very long. You are going to lose some of your product because of that, so you do have to account for it when you're actually doing your recipes to increase the amount of peas that you're putting in for the portions. But other than that, you could just put it through the strainer, and then we'll puree it again. And to help it get through, you can just use a rubber spatula, and really you can see it's not losing. We're not going to lose that much product after all. And just as Michael's doing that, some of the other products now this is a fibrous product, so we're just trying to show you that. But some other products are really high in water content, like watermelon, some of your vegetables like lettuce, and they're very difficult to puree and to get it to try to even shape it or make it edible. So like with the watermelon, what we do as a thickening agent is add applesauce, just unsweetened applesauce to give it some texture, and then you can add some thickener too. But if you added just thickener, by the time you were done, you were eating red thickener, so pink at that point. And same thing with like lettuce. We notice the same thing. But there's other fibrous vegetables like this, like corn. There's also, sometimes, usually the seeds in the strawberries, you don't actually need to, because they will puree up pretty well. But blueberries, the skins, you'll have to take,
Corn.
Corn.
Yeah, so
So
how
Always use cream style corn too.
How do
Yeah.
you do the corn?
the corn we start doing we start with cream style corn because then it's already broken down a little bit. Even you could, if you
Already
want
has
to, you
salsa
can use
flavor
the canned peas instead of frozen peas, but they're not as high quality. So, but you can either use both ones. The other thing is, what was I gonna say? With the berries, mashing it, going through. And if you're going to use like frozen fruit, because a lot of times you can't get fresh fruit, you can just make sure that you defrost the fruit before you start. You can even like blanch it or microwave it to kind of break it down, the frozen fruits, and then once they get into the blender, they're already soft. So that's a big thing. We talked about before with the meats, tenderizing them before you try to manipulate it any further. So now that we've got most of the smoother product left, Michael's going to put it back into the RoboCube, and it's still a little watery, so we're going to have to thicken it up a little bit. And what we try to do is the least amount of liquid and thickener as possible to maintain the flavor. And just with the peas, you can see it kind of turns a little gray. So just a few drops, not too much. You don't want neon peas, but just a few drops of food coloring. It just, you'll see what the difference is. We'll compare
And
it.
remember,
here.
you can always add more, but you can't take it out.
That's true. So we'll just add a little bit of the food coloring. Just going to put a little thickener in. And with the liquids, you can use whatever liquid you used maybe too that's left over from actually cooking the vegetables, or we've used vegetable broth, low sodium is great, so we don't add any more salt to the product that we need to. And you can see that it's just getting a little bit greener. And you compare that to what it was, so you kind of can see where.
Oh, yeah. Oh, cool.
So it's still a little thin, and we're going to add thickener to get it to the right consistency.
And what do we do first?
Taste it. Me too.
I'm good with that. I serve that to my mom, absolutely. All day long.
And Michael does a great job too of making their own stocks and using, herbs and seasonings instead of salt and pepper. We're cooking up a lot of garlic. It's got mixtures of different spices that he's put together. So the food is really flavorful because we can make it look good, but if it doesn't taste good, we eat with our eyes. But then once you see it tasting, it still needs to taste good. So that's the only food that is actually worthwhile is any food that's consumed. So we want to make sure it's safe, it looks good, and tastes good. That's our main goal here, and just to improve the quality of life and the dignity of the person. So when they're sitting down, they know what they're getting. They've had surveyors question if it was even puree at Michael's facility.
4 years, no deficiencies.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
deficiency-free 4 years, and they even, they're so intrigued by it, they want to test it, and they actually like the puree dish better than
The regular one?
The regular one, yeah.
Oh,
That particular day, it was a seafood stuffed sole, and so same stuffing, pureed, and then using one of the fish molds that you saw in the earlier part, and just put it on top and refirm it. Excellent.
And so what we did was we really tried to use all these tips and tricks in the recipes so that that's the training tool going along. And we can test it with the IDDSI testing of puree, and it sticks with just a little tail.
And you want it to be able to hold just enough of a peak. So with your proteins, you're looking for a mashed potato consistency. With your fruits and your vegetables, you want more of a thick custard, thick pudding consistency. Remember, don't add too much thickener because it's going to come up tasting like really gummy and it's no good.
So what we try to do is put these steps in the recipe for them so that they'll know, and give them some descriptions of how things need to be. And one of the tricks that Michael uses is to, before he puts it into the pastry bag to pipe, is to actually wrap up the food in plastic wrap, and it kind of protects not only the pastry bag, then you can reuse those and keep them.
You can have a bunch of them on the side and you just kind of go and do it when you have time.
It also makes it a little easier to control the food when you're trying to pipe it.
You always want to try and get as much air out as possible.
And the biggest question we have is like, how are you going to implement this? It seems like it's overwhelming, kind of like IDDSI. But just to start small and just keep on working it. There's all different types of molds. And even like this mold is for peas, but you can use it for baked beans, you can use it for corn. It's universal. You can use it for all different, you can use it for a lot of different things. You don't have to use mold. You can cut things, and you can pipe things. So you could be really creative in utilizing the different products that you have already that you don't even have to do anything for. So Michael just poked a hole in the plastic wrap that was containing the puree peas, and we do recommend that you use a piping bag to fill the molds because it will get the little.
Cloth bags, the disposable ones. If it's a thicker item, they're gonna pop. Just make a mess.
And you can clean those. We have bought some special brushes that you can actually clean those and keep those nice. Even the molds. You've had molds for over 5-10 years. Same mold.
Yeah, actually, my last facility still has molds that we got 7 years ago now.
So don't put up the dishwasher. Just put them in the 3-compartment sink and sanitize them that way. But piping it in will help get it into the nooks and crannies so that you'll get all the little detail of the different product. And so you're just gonna, you're gonna puree up a bunch, fill up your molds, try to make sure that you can utilize all the extras. If you do have any extras, you can always, do some of this, use as garnishes, other things. We try not to waste any product. So that's one of the first things when we talk about molds. Oh, this is going to cost. It's going to take too long. And then as a dietitian, I was like, oh, you sure that's half a cup? We're going to have to measure that. But in the long run, it's like it doesn't really matter. They eat it.
Actually,
that's great.
The majority of the molds are already measured by the federal guidelines. So, for instance, these will measure out to a solid 1/2 cup or 4 ounces.
Mm-hmm. So we don't have to worry about that.
And one's going to be a little faster. That's all right.
So you just pop those in the freezer. Usually just overnight is fine.
About an hour and a half, actually. Thank you.
Freezer. And these we did yesterday and are already been frozen. So we just want to show you how easy they can just pop right out. You can spray it with a pan spray as well if you have problems having difficulty getting the product out.
Then you individually portion them, put them into a Ziploc bag in the freezer. Voila.
And when someone wants peas, go get the peas and put it on the plate and reheat it. All right, so we're going to move on to, so that's really for the pureeing of fruits and vegetables. And we talked a little about the starches that you do those a lot on at the time of service. So bread was the other product that we really were having difficulty with, and we originally were slurrying, like I think a lot of you probably have done, and just the inconsistency of the product and the safety of it. We decided to move to a product that's that you can use. There's several different companies that have a puree bread product. So this is what Michael's going to do, and then we can use it for. We do like a basic muffin, a basic cake, a basic cookie, bread, and then if it's cinnamon toast, put cinnamon on it. If it's a blueberry muffin, we put pureed blueberries on it. So we just you can use one product and just use it in multiple different ways. It's really simple. You just add a little. You just add a little margarine and hot water. And it's best actually to mix it with your hands. And then Michael's going to do. He's going to do the chocolate cake. So this, we're just going to add some chocolate to it, and then it'll be in some. It will give some sweetness and some chocolate texture to it. And then you can just use whipped cream or something to garnish it with. Cocoa powder, give it some. And this great product, you can just make it and it's pretty much ready to go. You can, if you want to, like just some of our sandwiches we do, you can make up a bulk as well, like we were doing with the vegetables, and you can freeze it and retherm it. So, or just if you're doing like cold sandwiches, you can put it together, put it in the fridge overnight, and then serve it the next day so it's at the proper temperature. And it's just, a cookie cutter, square cookie cutter, and just going to mold it in. there you have chocolate cake.
Wow.
So if you want, we can start plating. We got like 6 minutes left. What do you want to do, sandwich?
No time.
Okay, no time to do sandwich. Sandwich is just as easy. You just roll it out. You saw it on the video, and put the products in. We did a hot dog. It was simple. Just roll it over, return it. But the plating, we really want to make sure that you get to see this and how simple it is. Here's some of the plates that we just had from before, just rethermed it. That's a beef stew. This is a Reuben with French fries, and Michael used roasted potatoes to get it the brownish color. All these products were frozen originally and then just assembled and rethermed. Michael's doing spaghetti and meatballs. You use the piping bags. There's all different types of tips that you can use. You can make like the long flat ones for noodles. You use the small one for spaghetti. This is meatballs that were pureed up. Now we just use a scoop. It's simple. Sauce. What we do is we have like pureed meats, just a general meat, like a pureed chicken, a pureed fish, pork, and you do the molds and make them in bulk. And then when barbecue chicken's on, you put barbecue sauce on. When teriyaki chicken, you put teriyaki sauce on it. So it's the sauce in the bag. So there's not, you're reusing the products, and it's simple for the cooks. We want to show you point of service. So a lot of you want to do service right at the table side, and here you can serve the product right from they can choose. What do you want? What would you like? You want the broccoli or the peas? And the resident can choose what they want, and you can serve it right from the steam table.
Would you serve that to your mom?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
5 minutes if you want to eat, and Michael study some more of his tricks. He's got a lot of tricks that I don't even know about.
Can I have more time if I come back next year?
And just to try to get the height on the plate. Just think of all this different, the color, the eye appeal. He has like parsley flakes you can put on. Just be creative. And his staff has just really embraced it, and it's his passion. But this is chicken parm. Just.
Oh, come on, baby. You're doing a movie. Come on.
Had a knife.
That is actually a really good.
Ooh.
And we always want to put sauces on, keep it moist. So.
Very cool. Nice. He's in coming. Woo.
So what we did in addition to doing, we did a manual too that kind of has the tips and tools and gives you instructions on how to purchase some of the things, how to cut things, gives you some ideas. And then actually our recipes would, give the actual instructions. So we did videos and some webinars with our staff too.
Voila, chicken parmesan.
Yep.
Would you mind sharing with a group I know you shared in some of our sessions getting ready for it, just how much more the residents were eating?
Yeah, we noticed like 60% increase in the intake. So that, if you're thinking about dollars and how much it's going to cost and labor, we were trying to show you the labor is pretty, simple, but the cost you're saving on supplements and, just the improving of someone's nutritional status is just going to outweigh.
And you're not throwing out all that puree.
Right, you're not throwing out.
And the nice thing is, you're using all of the same ingredients. You're not buying anything extra except for one thing. Instant thickener. 25-pound box is $42. And even in the biggest facility where I had 24 purees, it still lasted 3 months. So what's that? An extra $120 a year? You're saving money.
And all that equipment that Michael brought was like $300. So, your supplies are not that expensive either. So,
All right. One last little trick, because I only have 2 minutes. So, you have steak. I like my steak grilled.
Ooh.
into a smoking liquid.
A little bit of Gravy Master. And there you go.
All right.